Hello, family, friends, and foe, and welcome to this edition of In the Kitchen with Andy Goodtimes. Today, we will be showing you how to prepare a traditional tortilla espanola. It's very simple. There's only 3 ingredients: potatoes, onions, and eggs. Let's get started. First of all, it is very important that you wash your potatoes. You don't want dirt in your food. Even though in France, potatoes are called pomme de terre, which means apple of the earth. We don't want any earth with these puppies. So grab your potato scrubber and get scrub-a-dub-dub. Make sure you don't use soap though. You want to use about 3 potatoes for a good 11-inch tortilla. You want to make sure that you have a frying pan that's about the size of a plate, so you can flip it over. So scrub your potatoes very well. It's very important. One thing my grandmother told me, if I'm cooking, I'm drinking. Now put your glass back down, you lushes, and let's get back to work. Get a nice medium-sized bowl. We're going to use this for many things. We're going to use this and bring it to the fridge. And you're going to want 5 eggs. Oops! Well, it didn't crack good. These need to sit out, come to room temperature for proper mixing. Next, we're going to start with the potatoes. Again, you must peel them. Some people, they use peelers. My house, we don't have one. Or the trash can ate it. So we're going old school. And this is the way they do it in Spain, too. Grab a paring knife and peel away. Man, it's hard work. And we peel these puppies right up. If you have any brown spots or black spots or green spots, just make sure you cut them off because they're not tasty. You can leave a little brown, it's not going to hurt anybody, but just want to make sure you peel them. Nobody likes a dirty skin. Oops! Oops! Oh no! It's down in the garbage disposal! What will he ever do? I can't get it out. Come on, you bitch. There we go. Once you pick your potato out of the garbage disposal, make sure you give it a nice rinse. Because, we don't know what's been done there. Alright, 1 down. We'll be right back after we peel these other 2. Okay, we have all 3 of our potatoes done. Next, get your 7-inch Santoku knife, wherever the fuck that is. It's in the dish drainer. Take your knife and cut your onion in half lengthwise. Peel and all. Cut off the tip, just the tip, and the other side as well. The easiest way to peel your onions is to cut it first. Pull off the outer layer of skin. If there's any green in the middle, make sure you pull them out. They're not delicious. And the same for the second half. Pull back the skin. And pull out any green that may be there. Next, we're going to go to our frying pan. You need 2 frying pans to do this. As I said before, you need about 3 potatoes for a 10-inch, 11-inch frying pan. And what we need to do is you need one where the frying pan is the same size as a plate. That way, you can convert your tortilla. We'll get onto that later. We're not going to use a little one first because that's to make the actual dish, but we need to fry everything. So we're going to start with a good 12, 13-inch skillet. Put it on the highest burner that you have and put that puppy right on high. Use your frying oil if you save it like I do after you use your olive oil. This is the Costco Kirkland Signature Mediterranean Blend Oil, a blend of canola, olive, and grapeseed oil. I marked mine for frying so I know that it's used. I don't put it on my salad because that would taste pretty nasty. But you can reuse your frying oil for your potatoes, your onions, what have you. But make sure if you use it for fish, you mark it for fish because you don't want fishy potatoes. You want to have about an inch or more of olive oil in the pan. Sometimes your food sucks up some of the oil while it's frying, so you lose what you had before. That's why I save my frying container, and I have pure olive oil from Costco as well to add into this blend. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. You want about the first digit of your pinky to be covered. Yeah, that's about good. I mean, let that sit for a while and get really hot and spicy. No, it's not spicy at all unless you make it spicy. Anyway, so we continue. Here we have our potatoes. You can prepare them any way you want. You can dice them, you can slice them, you can half them and make half moons. I like to make the half moons because sometimes they hold in place a little bit better. It's really up to you, whatever fits your fancy. But remember, the denser they are, the longer they take to fry. Let's get to work. Slice your potatoes in half and cut them in very thin slices. And put them in a bowl. If you want, you can add salt to them prior, or you can salt the oil while you're frying them. Either way, they'll soak it up. Just be careful, you don't want too much water on your potatoes from the salt because they will pop when they go into the fryer. And the next one. Make sure that your slices don't stick together in case you didn't get a corner or something, like this pair. Make sure they completely separate, that way they're not stuck together in the fryer because it'll take too long to fry. On to potato number 2. And our last pieces of potato go into the bowl, and now we work onto our onions. You can slice them however you like as well. I prefer to do half, and then just run right through. It can really be, however, as long as they're not huge chunks of onion. Nobody likes a big bite of that. It's for the flavor, not for the texture. Excellent. We're going to leave these here for now, and we're going to work with our oil. It's nice and hot. As you can see, it's glistening. You can see that the viscosity thins and lowers as it gets hotter and hotter. One tip for checking if your oil is hot enough, is put just a dab of water on your fingers and flick it in. If you hear it sizzle, it's ready. You want that bitch to pop. Hear it? It's hot. Okay, next step we're going to do is make sure your fan is on high. We don't want grease going everywhere all over this bitch. Take some salt, just a smidge, and shake a little bit on top. Toss your potatoes with some salt. Let it coat them a little bit. This will help pull the water out of the potatoes so they crisp up, as well as allow them to fry a lot faster. Now, the potatoes will fry slower than the onions. So first, we're going to add our onions in to the grease. Or potatoes. Sorry, I said onions. Whoops. I better keep drinking so my words get better. Who do I gotta screw up a drink around here? Maybe the cameraman. Make sure you have some nice utensil to work with hot grease and get these puppies in there. You just want to get them warm before you add the onions because they're a lot thinner and they'll fry up a lot better. And they're gonna bubble. And they're gonna bubble for a little while. You're gonna fry them for about 7 to 10 minutes. until they're nice and tender. You want them like French fry texture. You can get them crispy as you want, or you can have them soft and chewy, however you like. But these add the density to the eggs, so you can flip it and keep it solid. We're going to wait about another 35, 40 seconds. Let that crisp up a little bit. Let everything start to cook. The edges will start a little bit. And we're going to add our onions in. And like all good Spaniards, a little salt for good luck. Now, while those sit and fry, make sure you push your onions into the grease. Get everything nice and submerged. And you see how that oil picked up a lot higher now that the potatoes are in there? You're up to the top. Be careful, hot grease burns, but as long as you leave your burner on high and your fan on, you should be good. Now, we'll go back to the bowl that we used for our potatoes and prepping, and we're going to work with our eggs. Make sure you use a fork to scramble your eggs, as a spoon will not work. A whisk works, but it makes a little bit of a mess. Oh, I need a drink. Start off with your first egg. And then your second. And your third. Number 4. And finally, number 5. Feel free to add whatever seasonings you'd like to your tortilla. It's completely up to you. However, the classic way is just a little bit of salt. So, just a pinch or 2. And some fresh ground black pepper. Take your fork, make sure you stab the egg yolks, and it's all in the wrist. It's not in your arm. You just want to flick your wrist around. Excellent. See how that's little white and yellow in there? That's because it hasn't fully blended together. When it comes to more room temperature, it'll be perfect. Let that sit. It's fine. We'll stir it up later. Let's go back to our potatoes and onions. As you can see, everything's turning a nice color of yellow. Everything's simmering nicely in the grease. And we'll wait a little bit longer. Because as you can feel with your spatula, they're still hard. The potatoes, you don't want bitey potatoes. So we'll give it some time. Love the potatoes. Make sure that they take care of you. Magic. It's everywhere. Okay. Let's check our potatoes. As you can see, some of these have brown edges. And when you use your spatula, if it cuts the potato in half, it's done. Kill the heat. Now, we take our bowl and we scramble a little more, just to make sure it is nicely mixed. And then ever so gently, you want to use whatever utensil you're using with your fryer and lightly scoop out the fried goodness. Place everything into the eggs. Don't be afraid. If anything starts to cook, it will cook around the potatoes and onions, which is what we want anyway. The more grease, the better. It will stay outside of the mixture, and it will help the recipe and the overall dish stick, not to the pan, but to your heart. Now, olive oil is a non-saturated fat, so it's good for you, unlike cholesterol, which is a saturated fat. Olive oil is one of the best things to fry in. It has high omega-3s. Whoops. And it's just overall delicious. The Spaniards live by it. They even bake with it. They hardly ever use butter, and I agree. Olive oil is life. The weird thing is, Italians dip their bread in olive oil. Spaniards eat it dry. I don't know what's wrong with them. Patience and love is what it takes to make this dish. Slowly scoop out the rest of your goodies to put into your tortilla. Now, all of your toppings are in here. Make sure you toss them all in the eggs. That is the most important part. You must toss the potatoes and eggs instead of pouring the eggs over the potatoes. That way, there's egg in all the cracks. You can see there's a little bit of cooked stuff in there. That's okay. It's not going to hurt anything. And you want a really nice gelatinous mess like this. Next, we're going to take a spoon and grease a little bit of the frying pan. Put your heat on low. And I mean low. Get low, girl. Take about half a ladle full of olive oil. Put it in the bottom of the pan. Roll it around. Now you don't want too much because it will flop right on top. But you want to make sure that the entire pan is greased. And you take your pile of eggs and patatas and pour it in. Pack that puppy down. Flatten it out. The next phase is patience. Let this simmer until you see bubbles around the edge. We'll be back after this break with a message from our sponsors. And we're back. Notice how there's steam coming out from alongside the pan. And the bubbles. You want these bubbles everywhere. As you can see, there's a little bit of cooked eggs around the edge. You want the cooked to be on top. That way you know it's dense enough to flip over. If you take a rubber spatula and go around the sides, you can loosen it and lift just a little bit. And we'll take a peek right here. And we'll see that it's cooked and just browning very slightly on the bottom. We're ready. Run your spatula around the end to make sure it's all loose. And it's time for the magic to happen. Warning, you may lose some potato. That's common. Don't worry, it happens to everybody. Take your plate and your frying pan and go to the sink. Lock your plate on. Be very careful. And flip the casserole onto the plate. Oh, dropped the potato. Come back to the stove. And ever so gracefully, slide it back in. Just like that. You'll lose some potatoes. Don't worry. Eat them. They're delicious. The gooey is the best part. Make sure you leave the goo on the plate. Let this cook for about a minute, just to fry up what's left on the other side. Look at how golden brown it is. Still the potatoes in there. It's gorgeous. It's to die for. You can see flecks of pepper in there, your potatoes, your onions. I wish you could smell this through the screen. It's absolutely to die for. Just like this drink. Oops. When we come back, we'll finish this up. Magic. Still everywhere. Alright. Now, you can take the tortilla out of the pan however you like. It's kind of loose. Loosey-goosey. If you can try and slide it right on out. And bam! That is how you make a tortilla espanola. Hot, but careful. Let it come to room temperature before you eat it. Serve it with roasted red peppers, ketchup, what have you. Put some Parmesan cheese on top of it, salt, pepper. It's good alone. Put some mayonnaise, tomato, lettuce, French bread, whatever you want. When I was in Spain, my husband would give me morcilla, or blood sausage, to eat with it. It was delicious. Eat it however you like. It's amazing and easy to make. Only 3 ingredients. Remember, this is Cooking with Andy Goodtimes. And like I always say, if I'm cooking, I'm drinking. This is Andy Goodtimes signing off. Adios, mi gente.